from Detroit, Michigan, at 108 pounds, George Howard. From St. Louis, Missouri, at 220 pounds, Big Billy Welu.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again from the beautiful Emerson Lanes here in the industrial city of Parkersburg, West Virginia, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. It's Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show. The world's greatest bowlers in action every week, over $75,000 in prizes. This is Fred Wolf. We have two more of our field of 24 of these great stars in action. 3 games, total pins, $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. All competition is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. 300 games are worth $10,000. On top of that, $250 bonus for 5 strikes in a row in any one game, $50 more for every strike on top of those 5. It looks like a good match this week. The big man against the little man. George Howard from Detroit, Billy Welu from St. Louis. Ready for game 1 in just one moment.
Billy Welu won a toss. He elected to start on the right side. All games starting on the left. George Howard from Detroit. First frame, first game. Got to hurry. He doesn't get there, the 2-5. George Howard, born in Bridgeport, Alabama. Gained national recognition as a Detroiter. Moved to Kalamazoo in 1946 to the Motor City in 1956. A 5-stepper, 3-finger ball, fingertip, just a little guy at 108 pounds. The 2 and the 5, he is not going to get there, and Mr. Howard is open in the first, and here's Billy Welu, former national individual singles champion, runner-up to the National All-Star title in 1963 in Kansas City. Runner-up to Dick Weber, another one of our field. Welu sets, he's there, he carries. In Welu's first appearance, he lost a tough one to Bobby Kowalik of Detroit. So for Billy, it's 2 Detroiters on championship bowling here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Kowalik beating Welu on the final ball, 645 to 644. Howard was defeated by Vern Downing. And incidentally, Vern Downing is sitting in with us this week. There's a couple of them. And Vern, it looks like the big guy is pretty sharp right now.
He sure looks sharp out there, Fred. He's got real good speed and setting that ball extremely well so far.
You've watched this fella a lot, I'm sure, on the Professional Bowlers Tour, haven't you?
Yes, I have. He's
Little
been
Georgie.
Real steady casher on the tour.
This kid could be a jockey if he decided not to bowl. 108 pounds. There's a soft 10-pin, and Georgie's ball looks a little weak here this week. Championship bowling, these boys making their second appearance. At the end of the first appearance, it was Andy Marsich from Los Angeles with 740. Dave Sutar, another Detroiter, with 705. Carmen Salvino with 691, Ronnie Winger 686, Dick Weber 670. They're the top scorers. And Mr. Howard has a spare. So George will move to the left. A hobby that he has carried along since a youngster. He's a coin collector, or I believe he calls it a coin investor. to the left. Howard on a spare. That'll get there. There he is. So George now with the first strike, we keep saying, and I think Vern will agree with me, that the first assignment is to get a strike as quick as you can, and then, of course, get the first double and take away the pressure. Well, Welu has done exactly that in 2 balls. A strike in the first, made it good in the second. He goes for 3. That'll have to hurry. He gets there and shakes it up. Well, I don't think Billy thought he was going to get there with that one.
No, he didn't go through that ball quite as well as the others, Fred. He stopped a little bit short, and it took a little bit of the roll off the ball, I think, out there, and it didn't quite come up as much.
Welu has thrown 3 times, and the desired result. Come on, boy. Look at that 10-pin. The 6 goes right around it. 6 in the channel and into the pin receptacle. Billy Welu stops at 3. It's a life for George Howard. This fella has had a great career as a bowler. He's won practically every title he can win, but I believe he's been runner-up for more titles than any man in the game. There's the cover. And Howard now, with his second assignment, he has his first strike. Now to make it good for the double. In 21 games on championship bowling, his average is .211. Here's the double. 10-pin and the 6-pin just got a little piece of it. Not enough. 2 10-pins on the right. That ball seemed to be a little soft, too, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Like.
He's having a little trouble on his reach. He's not reaching quite long enough with the ball to get the good roll.
Look out. Well, he's got it. But everybody had to hang on, especially all the ladies here this week at the Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia. We have a complete league watching the show this week. Our host, Mark Nichols, and Jim Chacona tell us that the Shifts Ladies League in attendance. All great bowlers, and they enjoy themselves once a week in the early afternoons. All you ladies should get interested in that. Howard is short. That one's sliding away. The 2-4-5-8. They call it the bucket. And the exclusive AMF spare maker will indicate the ball between the 2-5, hoping it'll follow through and get the 8. This is a pretty tough shot, isn't it, Vern?
Yes, that's one of the toughest spares on the lane right there. You have a problem getting the 8 out even when you think you have the spare covered.
If you go too far, you leave the 5. There it is. Nice shot. So George Howard getting away slowly here. Gotta hurry. And Billy doesn't get there, the 2-4-5. Billy's dad, many years ago, was an all-star in Houston, Texas. Billy was born in Houston back in 1932, went to St. Louis in 1954. 2-4-5 covered. So at the end of 5, in the first game of 3, Howard is 65 spare, Welu is 96 spare. We're in the 6th. Welu sets one, leaves the 7 on a solid pocket hit. Would you call that a tap, Vern?
I would, Fred. That ball, he did everything with it that he wanted to, was flush in the pocket. There just doesn't seem to be any reason why that pin should still be there.
You know, the boys all seem to stick to the theory that there's only one tap, and that's the 8-pin. Any other leaves like that, it's because of the way the bowler threw the ball.
That's true.
I kind of can't go along with that myself. If I left one like that, I'd feel somebody was unfair along the line somewhere.
I'm with you, Fred. That looked real good to me.
George Howard getting a life here. We're in the 6th. George has 1 strike, 2 10-pins on this side. He walks away from that one, leaves nothing but the 6-pin. Almost got away with it. George is the 1963 Michigan State match game champion. Quite a title to win in the Motor City. Some pretty tough competition up that way. The 6-pin Howard covers. George has won a couple of PBA events on the tour. He was the 3rd leading money winner on the 61 tour. Was one of the big members of the Detroit Thunderbirds of the defunct National Bowling League. And there's a good strike. Howard gets loose now. So Billy Welu moves in on the right side, the big fellow from Houston, Texas. Bowling out of St. Louis. There. The good lift, the deep inside angle, looked like he threw that ball right where he wanted to.
The ball was really alive, Fred. That thing was really rolling hard out there.
Billy Welu now moving left. Attended St. Thomas University. Has a BA degree in psychology. Many of the boys refuse to look Billy in the eye. We're in the 8th, on a strike. There's a double. So Billy still has room to get in the bonus department. He's on 2. He has room for 4 more. George Howard trying for his first double. He dropped it. He got out of that one a little too quick, didn't he, Vern?
Yes, he's been having quite a bit of problems here on 38. He's been light 2 straight times. Then he run up high. It looked like that ball he might have been trying to compensate. Got ahead of the ball a little and dropped it.
The 2-5. This is the one that George missed in the first frame. He never got up to the 2-pin. Now he has moved slightly to the right. He feels possibly that that ball might not come back. He doesn't give that one much room, and he may pick it. He does. He made the move to correct the error in the first frame, the overcorrection. And Mr. Howard has now missed the 2-5 twice, once short and once chopping. And as happens many times, one mistake causes 2 mistakes. Howard in the 9th. There it is. So George has had 3 strikes on the left side. Having trouble on the right as Welu moves in on the right. If Billy can pick this one up, he has a great chance for the bonus money. Welu won the toss. He elected to finish on the left side. Obviously, his favorite side. So if he can get he's too far out. He doesn't get the bucket, the 2-4-5-8. Billy just gave that one too much room. He couldn't grind it back to pick up a piece of that. It's Billy Welu versus George Howard. Welu picked up $250 in bonus money in his first appearance in his first game when he shot .237. Howard was unable to get the 5 in a row in his first appearance. Hurry up. He got it off the kickback. So Billy is satisfied with that one. He steps in here in the 10th frame still with a chance for .231. In 1963, Billy was not only runner-up to Dick Weber for the National All-Star title in Kansas City, he was runner-up in Mort Luby's National Bowlers Journal Classic in Kansas City. Picked up around $11,000 on the winter tour. There's another one. So it's quite obvious in Billy's choice of lanes, at least he's showing that the left side is the easiest for him. It's interesting in the toss of the coin, some boys want to finish twice on the left, some want to finish twice on the right. Which is your favorite of the 2?
The left side, Fred.
You like the left, too?
Yes.
Here he comes. There it is, and that's .230. So Billy Welu, who opened with 644 in his first match, on his way with a .230 game. This fella could qualify for the finals. In 2 appearances, total pins for the 6 games, will bring back the two highest scorers for the $15,000 added purse in the finals. Over $75,000 in prizes overall. Welu sets and gets there, and that's 3 in the 10th. So Welu just a bit short in the 9th, leaving the bucket on the double. Just an inch possibly away from a real shaker. Could have gone all the way. 8 strikes for 231. George Howard finds himself, well, if he can get out of here with strikes, he can stay within 40 pins. He leaves the 4, and he needed that one. So Howard still looks for his first double. George Howard. George Parton Howard, born in 1930 in Bridgeport, Alabama. Started as a pin boy in Kalamazoo in 1950. The cover in the 10th, and the count, 172. Vern, did you know that this fellow was the Kalamazoo bantamweight champion in Golden Gloves competition many years ago in Kalamazoo?
Yes, I did, Fred. The boys on the tour stay away from George.
Really? Well, he must move around pretty fast. Probably have noticed his left arm. George injured that arm playing high school football. Can't straighten it all the way out. Hurry up. Well, he got all but the 7-pin for 171. So at the end of the first game, Billy Welu of St. Louis well out in front with a 60-pin advantage, 231 to 171. We'll be back for game number 2. This is Fred Wolf along with Vern Downing in Parkersburg, West Virginia on Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show. Right after this message, the second game.
The scores for the first game, George Howard, 171. Billy Welu, 231. Welu with 8 strikes. Howard with 3 strikes. Still looking for 5 in a row. Welu, 231. Howard, 171. We're ready for game number 2. How about Parkersburg? You all ready?
Billy Welu, St. Louis, moving in on the left side, starting the second game of 3. Welu out in front by 60 pins. His opening series of 644, he picks up 31 more pins. This fella is in contention as a finalist. A solid 10-pin in the first frame. 4 steps. Billy definitely a spot bowler. On championship bowling for 24 games, this fella averaging 216 per game. His high series, 740. He has a 740 and 720. Hurry up. Oh, man, he had to hang on with that one. So his very small opponent moves in on the right. Georgie getting a very bad start, 171. In George's match with Vern Downing, sitting in with us this week, he opened with 172. So Howard not too effective here in Parkersburg. He threw that one out the window, the 1, the 2, the 4. Vern, up till now, you've watched this boy bowl, I'm sure, much better than this. How would you interpret his problems?
Well, Fred, it looks like he is having a lot of trouble with his feet. He can't get in position at the line. I believe that he's just rushing just possibly a little bit too much. That way he can't get the ball out in front of him good.
Cover. George Howard with a spare in the first frame. Welu with a spare. Second game of 3. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. Welu in his first appearance lost to Bobby Kowalik of Detroit, 644 to 645. Howard dropped a close one to Vern Downing, 556 to 584. He'll get a turn on that one. There it is. I believe, Vern, if you watch closely, George's finger action is very important in his delivery. If he doesn't lift with his fingers, his ball just doesn't move, does it?
That's right. He has quite a lift there. Right at the last split second, he really comes up with the ball and brings it back sometimes when you wouldn't think it would reach.
There's a big reach. Oh, look out. How about that? The 4-pin has moved at least 2 inches right. And the AMF automatic pin spotter will put that pin right back off spot. It is slightly off spot to the right. The AMF pin spotter lets you bowl at a livelier pace. Welu at the 4, covers with spare. Well, Billy got a lot of action there, but the 4-pin a bit stubborn, so Howard, with a strike in the second, has the chance here to pick up some of the pins. And, boy, he's got a lot of them to think about. 60 pins. He has better than, well, he has practically 2 games to do it. This is not an impossibility for this youngster, but he's got a pretty tough boy here to deal with. Billy Welu sets this one, and he carries. So Welu could very well be on a couple as Howard moves in on the right, looking for his first double, and this has been the tough side for the youngster. He had 2 10-pins here in the first game. First 2 frames, the second and the fourth. See what he can do with this one. There's a good reach, but it's going to be too high. 6-pin. He got out of that one, but he didn't give it room to swing. It seemed like it.
He seems to have moved his line on 38 a little bit from what he was using in practice. In practice on 38, he was quite a ways outside. Now he's moved in about 5 boards, and in doing this, I believe he's got in trouble.
There's the cover. George Howard still looking for his first double. At the end of 3, Howard leading 1 pin. He trails by 60, the margin 59. Pretty good hit. And I guess we can't officially call that a tap, Vern, or would you classify that as a tap?
Fred, you can't call it a tap. I call it a bad break if the ball is solid. Most of the time, though, there is a good reason for leaving the 10-pin.
What was the reason for leaving that?
I feel that ball was a little bit late coming into the pocket, came in behind the pins.
Mm-hmm. At the 10, Howard covers the spare. 59 spare for Howard. Billy Welu moving in on the right. Billy knows that every strike is so important from here on out. He needs 660 to give him 1,300 for his 6 games. That would put him in contention. And there's the double. He didn't make a mistake on that one. So Welu, in 4 frames, has put 4 balls in the pocket. He finished the first game with 3. So he hasn't been out of the pocket now for 7 consecutive balls. He left a 10 and a 4. Now the double. We're in the 5th, almost halfway. That'll never make it. Almost made it. Looked like he was going to miss the head pin. So Welu stops again, leaving the 2-4-5-8. That's the second time that Welu has done that on a double. He went into the 9th frame in the first game on 2 and left this sleeve, which the exclusive AMF spare maker simply indicates. Put the ball between the 2 and the 5, follow through. The ball should hit the 8, but Billy's going the other way on the outside. And the smile of guilt by Mr. Welu as Howard gives him the raspberry up there. George Howard in the 5th, second game, almost halfway. That ought to get there. Well, that's the first good ball that Howard has thrown on the right side. So at the end of 5 in the second game, Howard is 79 strike. Welu is 85 spare. George Howard from Detroit, still first double. He's on a strike. He throws. There he does. Well, the little guy is working out there, that's for sure. He just checked his watch, and he said it was about time. So Welu now moving in on the right side. All competition moving from right to left. Each bowler bowling 2 complete frames, with the exception of the first frame. All games starting on the left. Sets it. He gets there. Look at that action. Oh, that's a picture strike. As I feel, I've asked other boys this, Vern. I'll ask you. Do you, as a professional bowler, get more satisfaction out of a strike like that than the solid pocket hit?
Definitely, Fred. A hit like that, you're never sure that you're going to carry a strike, and when you do carry it, loosens you up, just makes you feel real good.
You feel you've thrown a good ball, too. There's a certain amount of satisfaction to move 10 pins. Hurry up. Oh, there's a beautiful delivery there. As Billy Welu took full advantage and picks up another double in a hurry. Welu working on 2 as Georgie Howard moves in the 7th, and Howard is on a double. Going for 3. There, Mr. Howard is now on the way. 3 in a row for the young Detroiter, George Howard. He got his first double. He made it 3. He moves to the left. Howard leading in the second game now by 4 pins. Welu on 2, Howard on 3. One more. Come on, boy. There it is. Looks like the little guy suddenly got a shot in the arm here somewhere, Vern. Looks pretty sharp.
He found something out there.
Welu won the first game by 60 pins, 231 to 171. That'll have to hurry. Here it comes. He leaves a solid 10 pin. A bad break for Welu, a great break for George Howard. That strike, of course, as we have mentioned, every double that Welu can get, or in this case, losing a double, losing a triple, actually. These pins are so important for Billy's 6-game total. He goes in with 644. A little 700 here. There's the cover. Would put Welu at about around 1350, and this would have to be a total good enough to qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added purse. He can still finish with 4, which would give him another 230 game. But that 10-pin hurt. Too high, 4-7. So George Howard can really get a good piece of that 60-pin deficit he faced if he can line them up in the 9th and 10th frames. With us here this week at the Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia, from WTAP TV, their sales manager, Denny Deaver. There's the fella. So the little guy now moves in on the right side. Welu covering. Billy hasn't had an open frame. Howard, he missed the 2-5 twice. Here's the biggest ball that Howard has thrown in this match. Number 5 for $250. Set it there. Here we are. Yes, sir. Well, the little fella didn't miss. I'll tell you that. We were talking about it, 108 pounds. This guy could be a jockey. It looked like he was doing a bit of riding on the approach, Vern.
He fell off the horse, Fred.
Well, here we go. At $50 a strike, he has a chance to pick up another $150 in the 10th frame, and he has a chance for $259, and he can keep Mr. Welu busy. Once more. Come on, boy. There it is. Well, you got to give him a lot of credit. He certainly seemed to be in trouble the first game. 2 misses, no doubles. He had 3 strikes. He was unable to get the double. He picked up a strike in the 2nd frame of this game, couldn't get the double. He finally got one in the 5th, and he hasn't stopped. He now has 6. This will be the 7th, and for $259. He needs this one. Yeah! Well, they got some nice action over there on the right corner. That 6-pin did a job, didn't it, Vern?
Sure did, Fred. Kicked out the channel there very well.
Well, George Howard with the pencil, as we mentioned, he had 79 in the 4th with a strike. It gave him 109 after 2. Just strike him out. Add 150 to 109, and you have 259. Yeah. Yes, sir. There's a great finish. And the folks here in Parkersburg, West Virginia certainly appreciate this exhibition of talent. And the little fella comes from nowhere with 259, and this match could be practically even. Welu can get out of here with 220, but he'll need 3 strikes to do it. He doesn't get there, the 2-5. So Howard will pick up at least 49 pins. He trailed in the first game by 60. The margin is going to be around 10 or 11 pins. If Welu makes this spare, if Welu chops it, the match will be even. That's coming from nowhere. He covered. Nice shot. Welu with a spare. Billy has had 2 doubles. He has lost 10 pins in count. This, of course, is due to the fact that Billy, when he does not get the strike, invariably is out there with that 2-4-5 with a 2-4-5-8. That's better. Here's the count for 210. So in the second game, George Howard, the little Detroiter, roars back with 259. Welu with 210. The big game to follow, $1,000 to the winner. Fred Wolf, along with Vern Downing, on Championship Bowling Television's #1 bowling show. The big game in just 1 big minute.
Here are the scores at the end of 2 games. George Howard, 171. His second game with 9 strikes, $400 bonus money, 259. How about that, Parkersburg? Howard's total, 430. For Billy Welu, 231, 210. Billy's total, 441. The margin is 11 pins, 1 game to go for the $1,000. We're ready for the third and final.
George Howard from Detroit moving in on the right side after a great finish in the second game to pull within 11 pins of his opponent, Billy Welu from St. Louis. Howard in the first on a string a mile long. He's too high, leaves the 4-pin. He got away with one there. Looked like the 4-7-10. So Howard, with 8 in a row, going all the way from starting in the 5th, from the 4th, 259. He threw some great balls in that string, didn't he, Vern?
Yes, he did, Fred. He really got firm out there with the ball and set it extremely well.
Wasn't the same Howard we looked at the first game. There's the cover. So Howard, not in contention for the 6-game total, which would move him into the finals, but Billy Welu definitely in contention. Billy had 644 in his first appearance. He's picked up 41 more pins with 231 and 210. So Billy is right about 85 pins over. A big one here will put him in contention.
There's the strike in the first frame.
And that 6-pin just got a piece of the 10, and that's all it needed. Do you know that approximately 1 in 10 Americans suffer some degree of hearing loss? To learn about the work done by the American Hearing Society to help these people, write Better Hearing, Box 5000, New York City. Welu on a strike. Big turn. He likes it.
There it is, number 2.
And the big fella making the big move to the left, as the boys like to do when they know they've thrown that ball the way they want to throw it. You'll find the body English going into effect. Welu will always move left, possibly take a slight jump. Howard is liable to do almost anything, getting down on all 4s, on his knees. We're in the second. Georgie sets it.
There it is.
So we've got a good one going. Welu now with about a 20-pin advantage. Welu needs 215 for 1,300. What do you think it'll take to make the finals, Vern?
I think it'll take between 1,350 and 1,380, Fred.
In other words, Billy needs a big one. That's not there. Right in the middle, the 6-pin. Georgie shakes his head. He seemed to get a bit ahead of himself, looked like from here, Vern, don't you think?
He wanted that strike real bad. He rushed up there.
Yes, he needed that one with Welu getting 2. And Welu, of course, now has the chance to come back with 2 more. Mr. Howard could find himself in bad shape with about 7 frames to go. Howard covers as Welu moves in on the right side. Billy Welu started bowling back in 1946 when he was 14 years of age. Too high, and the 4-pin stops him. Billy just didn't swing quite enough with that one. Billy won the national match game title in 1959 in Buffalo, New York. He was runner-up to Ed Lebansky for Bowler of the Year honors the same year. Was captain of the national match game team champions in 1960. And he won the Indianapolis Open on the Professional Bowlers Tour in 1962, and in that event, included in the $4,000 top prize, Billy shot a sanctioned 300 score. The margin, 20 pins, 7 frames to go. Right back in there. And Billy, realizing that the slight mistake here on the right.
This could turn into a real dogfight here.
Well, Howard has one way to go. Start that big string again. Here it comes. He gets there and shakes it up. Well, this is about where Howard started in the second game. Actually, 1 frame sooner. He started in the 5th, went all the way with 8 in a row to pick up $400 in bonus money. George Howard, the smallest man on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Well, he didn't get there with that one. He was too high in the 3rd frame, didn't get there in the 5th, both times on strikes. In 62, the same year that Welu won the Indianapolis Open, this little guy won the Niagara Falls Open on the PBA Tour. He also won the Las Vegas Open the year before. Always find him up with the money winners. There's the cover. So Howard with the spare, 20, 40, 60, 80. Welu again on the strike. He was a bit high. Will he swing with this one? There's the swing. And he's got that one. So look out for Big Boy. At the end of 5 now, in the 3rd and final, Howard is 80 on a spare. Welu is 69. He is on a big double. Billy Welu moving in on the left on 2, the former Texas match game champion. Every strike is important. Here it comes. Look at that ball move. So Welu now on his way to some bonus money as he sits on 3 and a chance for 279. Let's strike him out. 279 would give him 720. George Howard, the little guy from Detroit. 108 pounds. He's high. Too high, breaks it up. Nothing but the 6-pin. You know, some of the teenagers around Parkersburg here in West Virginia tell me that they often go bowling on their weekend dates, and you can see that here at Emerson Lanes. A lot of high schoolers bowl regularly, once a week, many of them in regular sanctioned leagues. Now, bowling doesn't cost too much, and I'll bet some of you mothers and dads like to spend an inexpensive evening out, too. Now, you certainly owe it to yourself. So why don't you put your cares aside, make a date, go bowling, and bowl your blues away. Vern Downing sitting in with us this week. Vern from Fresno, California, one of our field. 24 of these great stars in action every week on Championship Bowl. There's Howard with the big strike. So Howard with a strike in the 7th, still a potential 239. Welu kicking around a 279. This boy could be in contention as a finalist. Making his 2nd appearance, he had 644 the first time out. It's the high man for his 2 appearances. The top 2 men qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added purse. $1,000 to the winner here this week. Welu winds, hurry, leaves the 10, so a 4 and a 10 on the right side. Billy thought he had that one. That 6-pin still in the channel, Vern.
Yes, you can usually tell when the ball is late, Fred. You'll look down there and see a pin laying in the channel, right in front of that 10-pin.
Now, you've used that phrase before. In other words, the ball moves late or hooks late. Thereby, it hits the 3-pin a little too thin. And the 3 does not hit the 6-pin. 3 hits the 6-pin a little full, and that kicks the 6-pin too far right, and it goes in front of the 10. That's about it, isn't it?
That's about it.
Billy has 29 pins on Howard in this, the third game. He took 11 with him. The margin, 40. It's not over yet. Howard is on a strike. Well, there's Welu in again. So the big guy has had every ball in the pocket, a 4-pin and a 10-pin. And every one of these taps, as we have mentioned, could mean the difference. Howard needs this one. There's no other way for the little fella to go. And he's got it. So here we go into the 9th frame. Both boys potential bonus money in. The margin now 19 pins. Overall, it's 30 pins with 2 frames to go. Now, if Howard gets this one, Mr. Welu has got to pay attention. George can still come up with 239, which would give him 669 after a 171 start. And that's really roaring back. Here he comes. He's got it. So Mr. Welu now has got to do a little thinking. Got to be a little careful. That wide open frame, of course, could be the difference. Welu, potential 258, which would give Billy 699. Billy, a little confused there on his start, decided to step back in full control of the situation. Good turn. Good turn. Boy, that was a big one. And that put Billy in a pretty safe spot to win this match. However, the double is important, as we have mentioned. Welu with 699 and 644 would check in here with about 1340. And as Vern Downing pointed out, it'll take between 1340 and 1380, I believe you said. Would be your idea.
1350 and 1380, Fred. But at least he would have a chance with 1340 anyway.
Well, he needs this one. Will he get it? He leaves the 7-pin, and that shuts Welu out as far as the bonus money is concerned. But Howard still has a chance here for 6 in a row. Now, Welu with this spare checks in with 237, which would give him 678. And Howard, if he goes all the way, he's got it. If Howard goes all the way for 239, it would be 669. So the double that Welu picked up in the 9th frame, the conversion of that spare, the 7-pin, has shut the door on George Howard. Welu could be the winner for the $1,000. There it is. But Howard could collect more money than Welu. Howard has already been assured of $900, $500 a runner-up share. He's won $400 in bonus money, and he still has room for $300 more. 237 for Welu. Howard dropped it. In the pocket, he dropped it. Oh, the 4-7. That 2-pin went right over the top of it. Almost got away with one.
So we call a fast 8, Fred.
A fast what?
Fast 8.
Fast 8. Oh, a fast 8. I get you. The 4-7 on a solid pocket hit is the fast 8. Well, George dropped that one. He almost got away with it. It was rolling right in the 1-3 pocket. There's the cover. So Howard finishing beautifully, actually, after the start he had. He missed a 2-5 twice in the first game, was unable to pick up a double. The count here will give him 217. And had he carried that first one in the 10th, he had a great chance for bonus money and a 230 game. There's the ball that Mr. Howard throws to wind this one up. He gets 9 out of it for 216. Billy Welu, 237. We'll be back now and have a word with these two great champion bowlers, Vern Downing along with Fred Wolf. In Parkersburg, West Virginia, it's championship bowling. We'll be back in a moment.
Here are the official scores. George Howard, 171, 259, and 216. His total is 646. For Billy Welu, 231, 210, 237. The total, 678. Did you enjoy this match, ladies and gentlemen?
You did.
Oh, yeah. George, did you enjoy it?
The last two games were very wonderful, Fred.
Last two games were very wonderful. You didn't like the first one. Well, there's $400 for that eight-strike string there in the second game to pull up within 11 pins, but the last game got away from
I
you.
got a little shaky on my favorite lane over there, the number 37, and I rushed the line a couple of shots and made bad pitches.
That's the way Vern Downing had you pegged up there. He worked with me, and he said that you rushed the line half a dozen times.
Yes, I did.
Which was about the story. Billy, in your last game, here's another $500 as runner-up. I almost forgot that. Billy, I must say that in your last game, you lost a nice 4-pin and a 10-pin. Those doubles were important. You have 13-22 for your two appearances. You think you have a chance for the finals?
Oh, Freddie, I don't think so. I'd love to have about 30 or 40 more pins. I think it's going to take around 1350 to 60 to make the roll-off. The lanes are in beautiful shape, and with the high scores that they've had, someone's got to knock off 13-22. But I'd sure love to come back. I'll be glad to.
We'll have you back here. Don't worry.
Thank you
very
Freddie.
much.
It's always
Billy
a
Welu?
pleasure being on the show.
Thank you, boy. Billy Welu, George Howard. How about it? The big and the little man.
We'll be right back with something very interesting. Over the weeks here on Championship Bowling, we continually mention the AMF Sparemaker. And with us this week, we have Lee Juglard, known as the bowling doctor. And Doc, tell us something about this AMF Sparemaker.
Well, I will, Fred. To begin with, I think that we have 24 bowlers here, and the reason they're here is because they've learned to cover their spares, to make them properly. And this is one of the items that the newcomer, the beginner, doesn't do properly. In order to help this out, we have the Sparemaker, and included with the Sparemaker, we have the ball path indicator, which I'm going to refer to as the arrow. First of all, let's take a difficult spare, one that you see very often, but it is difficult, the 3-6-10. Now, with the 3-6-10, of course, you've hit that head pin too full. You got away from a split, but you got the 3, 6, and the 10. Now, you'll see the arrow here. This is called the ball path indicator. You'll notice that it is between the 3 and the 6 pin. This is the proper method of picking up this particular spare. The ball hits in between the 3 and the 6, and the 6 takes out the 10. You'll also notice that there is an angle for the ball path indicator. And you'll notice that the dowels back there are colored correspondingly so that you stand on the corresponding dowel. You can make this also by hitting the 3 pin on the left-hand side, but it's very dangerous. We wouldn't recommend this because you could miss all 3 pins. So between the 3 and the 6, you'll convert this very often. There is one more spare, very common, the 1-2-8. Now this 1-2-8, you've adjusted. You've hit the head pin high a couple times, so now you've adjusted too much, and you've missed the head pin, leaving the 1, 2, and the 8. Now, this could be made in several different methods also, but for the best percentage in the bowling game, hit that between the 1 and the 2 pin, so that the ball will take actually all 3 pins. The ball takes the 1 and the 2 and carries through to hit the 8. Could be made from the outside, but don't try it because that's dangerous also. You can leave that 8 pin standing. 1 and a 2, and the ball carries right on through.
Sounds very simple, Lee. If you follow the arrow,
Well,
you shouldn't
it sounds
make a
simple,
mistake.
but often it's a little bit difficult. These are missed very often.
Thank you very much, Lee Juglard. We call him the bowling doctor. Good luck. Drop in any time.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Repeating the scores, George Howard with 646, Billy Welu with 678. Hope you can join us again next week when Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show with over $75,000 in prizes, will again originate here at the beautiful Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, West Virginia. in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Until then, this is Fred Wolf. Just keep 'em bowling out there. Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Champions Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.